Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here today with Ruth Daly, who's the Regional Director, Tourism Fiji, and Strobel Becker, who is the Regional General Manager, Americas for Fiji Airways. And we have been to Fiji a couple of times over the years, but not recently, obviously, because of the pandemic. But we wanted to get with both Ruth and Strobel to find out what's going on in Fiji today and whether they're ready, and I think they are ready to accept US visitors. And we wanted to talk about the situation there and hopefully get set up to go back to Fiji maybe later this year. But you'll find out about all that and more on Insider Travel. Now, first of all, both of you, how are you and where are you? Strobel, where are you and how are you?
James, I'm doing really well. Bula, thank you. It's great to see you again. And I'm doing very well, thank you, especially now that Fiji is open for American travelers. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm not as fortunate as my friend, Miss Ruth there, who can tell you where she is and about her travels over the last month or so.
Great. Now, Ruth, well, let's go to that. Where are you and how are you?
Well, Nisam Bula, and welcome everybody. And James, great to see you as always. Well, I don't want to say unfortunately, but I'm back home in my apartment in Los Angeles right now, recovering, if I might say, I had a fabulous 27 days in Fiji in December. I flew down on the first flight and visited 5 islands, 10 resorts. Just had an amazing time, and I am so ready to let everybody know that Fiji is open and very ready to welcome home our visitors again.
Well, Ruth, that was going to be my first question because you had told me before you had traveled to Fiji, but it sounds like conditions there are great. And don't use the word recovering with this stuff because people immediately go to COVID. So
yeah, no. It's just after spending 27 days in Fiji, it's just hard to remember how to cook for yourself, clean, wash your own feet, that sort of stuff. You know, it's just.
No, I get it. I get it.
I got a Fiji hangover.
They're very hospitable. It's a wonderful place to see.
Yeah.
I'm glad you had a great time there and you got a chance to see how things are going there. Strobel, actually, how to get there? Has Fiji Airways returned to service fully now on long haul routes?
Yes, so James, as of December 1, we opened, first arrivals were on December 1. So our Los Angeles route is daily, again, from Los Angeles to Nandi. San Francisco is resumed as well, 3 times a week from San Francisco. And also our Honolulu route is also up and running, Honolulu to Nandi about twice weekly. Some of our other international routes are a little slower in starting up. They've already resumed. It's just that with some more restrictions in place in some of those countries, it's taking a little bit longer to get back to full capacity. I will also just mention that you can also connect to Australia currently via Fiji. While there's still restrictions for Americans traveling to Australia, we have seen a number of Aussies repatriating via Fiji to Australia as soon as they were able to travel back as well.
No, that's all great news that you can get there. And now, Ruth, what do Americans need to do in order to visit Fiji now? What are the protocols to get in?
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. There's 5 things. Number 1 is that you have to be fully vaccinated. Mm-hmm. Number 2 is that you have to show proof of a negative PCR test taken 48 hours prior to departure. Mm-hmm. Okay. You have to have been in a travel partner country, and those are like travel safe countries, US, Canada, Australia, all part of those. You can find the full list on our website, but you must have been in a travel partner country for the previous 14 days.
Okay.
Okay. You must have proof of COVID quarantine insurance. So that's travel insurance that includes coverage if you do test positive and you need to quarantine. Now, most travel insurance policies are including that now, and highly encourage everybody in this time to be traveling with travel insurance anyway. But just in case clients, for whatever reason, don't have that in their policy, they can get a Care Fiji policy for $40 US. You can even do it right at the airport. We don't recommend
that's
you
great.
doing that, but that is available just for people who need to check that box. Again, as always, and I think as travel professionals, we've always encouraged people to get proper travel insurance anyway. And I know the big travel insurance companies are covering that. So, and then the fifth thing that you need to show, and it's something I wanted to talk about a little bit, is you need to show confirmation that for the first 72 hours, you're staying within the Care Fiji commitment bubble. So if I can just back up a little bit, over the last year, the whole industry on the ground in Fiji has done a tremendous job in getting ready to welcome visitors back. So over the past year, this whole program called Care Fiji Commitment was developed, and it was a whole set of protocols for resorts and other tourism operators that they had to abide by. And it's basically masking rules, social distancing, and things that we're very, very accustomed to here in the US. But I have to say that one of the things that really impressed me the most when I got to Fiji is how ready they were and how COVID ready they were. So in order to be a Care Fiji certified and get the decal and, get the certification, you have to go through a number of steps, including to have a wellness ambassador on site. So 90% of all of our industry is Care Fiji certified. Even the taxi cabs in the major tourist hubs are now Care Fiji certified. So back to the requirements for entry, you do have to show, in order to get on the airplane, a confirmation that for your first 72 hours, you are confirmed in the Care Fiji commitment bubble. So when you land, you need to spend the first 3 nights at a Care Fiji commitment resort. It doesn't have to be the same resort, but it has to be resorts. All the ferries are certified, so you can travel by ferry. You can go out to Mala Mala Island because it's certified. So I don't want people to think they have to stay at their resort for 72 hours.
Right.
It's just that you have to stay within certified suppliers for 72 hours. After that, you're free to move around as you want in the country. So those are the 5 things that you need to get into the country. And when you do get to Fiji, you will be tested at your resort at 48 hours. I call it coffee and a swab on the morning of day 2. And the resorts are super organized to get that done. And it's super quick, takes 10 minutes. And then they also require that visitors download an app on their phone called the Care Fiji app.
Oh, okay.
And as you travel around the country, as you enter and leave different establishments, you're required just to check in on that. And that's just a way for the government to track people's movements in case there is someone's tested positive, that they're able to advise people and let them know. So anyway, we think the restrictions to getting into Fiji, or the protocols, are pretty straightforward, pretty simple. They're updated all the time on our website, which is fiji.travel. That's the best place to find the latest information. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And again, for the Americans that I encountered when we were there, everyone was saying how easy to follow it was and how safe everyone felt.
No, that's great news. And I know I've been telling people you can travel with a PCR test, a vaccination card, and the worst thing always is filling out those health forms. Because that's, for me, that's always, they're all different in every country, and hopefully your form is a little more easier, because it is sometimes tough, and generally you find that you're doing that as you're trying to board the aircraft, and they want to make sure you see that. So that's the issue. But it sounds like you got a lot of choices on all the resorts you can stay at, even for that 72 hours.
Absolutely.
So
all of our major resorts are CFC certified. And again, 90% of all tourism operators are already CFC certified. We were lucky. We thought we were going to open a year ago in a bubble to Australia, which didn't happen. But we started preparing a year ago for this. So we've had plenty of time to roll it out and get people on board.
No, that's great. Now, Strobel, once you're there and you've gotten there, because obviously all the flights are going, how easy is it to get around by air around the islands?
Yeah, James, very easy. Our domestic network has been up and running, actually, even throughout the pandemic, because Fijians were actually able to travel domestically in Fiji. So our Fiji Air Link, Fiji Link network is up and running, easy to get around everywhere. It's obviously part of the CFC certified services. So, even for those first 3 days that you're required to stay at a CFC product, you can actually take the transfer to Taveuni, to Savu Savu, to other parts of the country. It's still considered part of it. So you can fly into your resort, connect on the same day onto a Fiji Link flight, and you're ready to go.
No, that's great, because I know obviously I've done it a couple times and it's very easy to get around the country. And I've done it both to get to the major islands and smaller islands. Now, speaking of resorts, Ruth, are basically all the resorts in Fiji now reopened? Have they reopened? If not, what remains to open?
Yeah, most of them have reopened. So certainly all of the resorts, or the great majority of resorts on Viti Levu, on the Big Island down along the Coral Coast, in Denarau, have all opened. Up north, up in Vanua Levu, which is so popular with Americans, particularly Savu Savu, the 4 big resorts are all open. The only resorts that are not yet open and won't be opening until starting February, March, and April were some of the smaller private island resorts out in the Mamanuthas and Yasawas.
Right.
And that was just an issue of, their staffs basically left the islands, and it's just been harder and slower for them to get staff back and to get supplies out to these really remote little islands. So the Liku Liku, one of our most famous honeymoon resorts, opens at the beginning of February, just in time for Valentine's Day. And then other favorites like Mata Manoa and Lomani will be opening up in the spring. But I do want to mention Castaway Island, which is part of the Outrigger chain. It's out in the Mamanuthas. It is open and accepting guests, as is the Musket Cove Marina. So just a handful of the smaller resorts that weren't able to open just because of logistics.
Yeah, well, I have been to Castaway. It's a beautiful resort, and I'm glad that it's back on, back open and everything's good. Strobel, let's talk about passenger numbers so far. Are we starting to see a trickle coming in now from the US to Fiji? Are we seeing a lot? What are we seeing?
Definitely more than a trickle, James, and we're very happy to be able to share that. We're just finished December now, so we're still waiting on sort of final numbers and confirmation on that. But from the get-go, when we made the announcement that we will be open, we started seeing a rush of bookings coming in. So our December and into January load factors have been very strong. We're traditionally a destination that books quite a lot further out. So to go from 0 to 100 is quite challenging, but we've been very encouraged by what we've seen, at least in terms of travel over the last since opening for December and early January. Mm-hmm. And then we're seeing a lot of bookings for later on in the year as well. So very encouraging from our side. And, we're very optimistic, despite some of the challenges that continue to be in the market. We're very optimistic about what we are seeing, and looking forward to even more stronger growth looking forward.
And Ruth, the same sort of question. What are you seeing in terms of tourism numbers overall, specifically from the US? Too.
Yeah, well, again, as Strubel said, we usually get our previous month numbers on the 20th of the next month. So we're still waiting for December numbers specifically. But look, I can just tell you anecdotally, I spent 14 days, don't hate me here, up in Savu Savu up in the north, which is, traditionally favored by Americans anyway. But there were Yanks all over the place up there. There were so many Americans from California. I thought we should call it San Savu Savu, but just tons and tons of people, Americans, Alaskans, a lot from the Bay Area, Southern California, Oregon, Colorado, Texans. And a lot of them were looking for last minute Christmas vacation places, and Fiji was open and we had availability, and every single one of them was extremely delighted to be there and so happy with their choice to come to Fiji. So as Strubel said, we are getting so much interest from the travel trade and from consumers right now. It's actually hard to keep up. So if anybody's got an email in my inbox and you're waiting for a response, thank you for your patience.
Well, you've been busy hanging out in Fiji. It
was rough, James. It was pretty rough.
I know. we're both Strobel and I are like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Strobel, let's talk a little bit about what Fiji Airways has done over the past 2 years of the pandemic. How has it worked to kind of improve the airline, if it has the equipment, the airports, et cetera?
James, obviously from the get-go, the real focus was on the safety of Fijian people, the safety of our customers, and the safety of our crews. So, from the get-go, we embarked on this journey to ensure that we do not only meet, but definitely exceed any international standards in terms of our cleanliness, from every touch point throughout the airport and throughout the journey. As a part of that, we even have wellness ambassadors on board every aircraft now that are medically trained to be able to, look after our customers and our crew. That's something that, not too many airlines have in place. So again, going above and beyond to ensure, safety for, our people and for our passengers. In line with that, we also have a travel ready hub that we launched early on in the pandemic to also keep people informed in terms of what the protocols are, what's required, keeping that updated so that for our travel advisors, but also for their clients, they can direct them to the Fiji Airways travel hub to get up-to-date information in terms of what the protocols are on board in the airport, but also in terms of the protocols required for travel to Fiji. For the efforts that we've done there, we've received 2 awards, actually, one from Skytrax and one from Apex. And both of those awards that we received are basically the highest rank that they have for any airline. So it puts us on par and even above many of the international carriers out there. And I think the proactiveness that we took in terms of getting that in place really is reassuring to our travel advisors that they are putting their clients on an airline that's really ensure the safety of their customers, but also it shows to our customers that we have done everything that we can to ensure their safety. And in the end of the day, it's also to ensure that our Fijian people are safe as well. Above and beyond that, just from a safety and those types of protocols. Right before the pandemic started, we actually took delivery of our A350 aircraft.
Yeah, I was going to mention that because I know that was coming when I was out there. You were getting it.
Yeah, so we just launched it into the market before things closed down. So we're very excited that now people are actually able to enjoy that aircraft, which is a spectacular airplane. It's got all the bells and whistles, state of the art, everything. In conjunction with that, we've also during the pandemic introduced our new short haul aircraft as well, which is the 737s. So we've really have a brand new fleet essentially.
Okay.
And where that really is important for us is not only from our customer experience, but also from our sustainability objectives, because obviously introducing a brand new fleet gives you a lot of advantages in terms of carbon dioxide output. And so we're really excited about the sustainability part of our aircraft as well, in addition to just the comfort and all the comfort features that you need on those airplanes. It's also gave us some time to look at our onboard products as well. And another part of our sustainability efforts is to reduce single-use plastics on board as well. And so during the pandemic, we looked at how we can improve our onboard product to reduce that as well. And we've done some tremendous improvements in terms of the product that we're offering on board to be able to meet those goals that we've set for ourselves. We've also continued our A Tree for Every Takeoff campaign, by where we plant a mangrove tree in Fiji for every international flight that takes off out of Nadi. So during the pandemic, even when we had our cargo flights flying without too many passengers on board, we continued that program. And for the last 2.5-3 years since implementation, we're getting close to our goal of planting 70,000 mangrove trees in Fiji. And the reason why we picked the mangrove tree is because it is exceptionally good at offsetting carbon dioxide, and it helps us too in terms of erosion in the island as well. So we're very proud of those efforts that we've gone through and being able to sustain that throughout the pandemic as well.
No, that's great. Strobel, you and I have to go on that A350 so we can plant some more mangrove trees. I think that's what we have to go out.
Definitely. I mean, a lot of airlines are trying to find, interesting ways for people to offset that. But we figured that's the easiest way. You don't have to do anything. You just have to get on our airplane. And by getting on our airplane, you're already offsetting your carbon footprint.
No, that's great. Now, Ruth, sort of the same question, but in terms of Fiji overall, how has it worked to improve kind of tourism infrastructure during the course of this pandemic, if at all? What have you had a little time to look at stuff and what needs to be done, right?
Yeah, look, the CFC was the major thing that we accomplished during the past year. And I also want to make sure that everybody understands that Fijians are overwhelmingly fully vaccinated. Over 90% of Fijians.
I was going to ask, I forgot. Thank you for letting us know.
And there is now a very strong push to get everybody boosted as well. So getting people vaccinated was really important to the country. The Prime Minister basically put out a no jab, no job edict. So in order to be a CFC resort, 100% of your staff has to be vaccinated. So again, between the CFC and the vaccination drive and push in the country, I think we really did get ready. There's been some products that have undergoing renovation. The Sheraton on Denarau has been undergoing a huge renovation. They'll be opening in the spring this year. So hopefully, James, maybe you can get to visit that. So that's exciting. There's a couple of new day cruise products out there as well, and including a beautiful catamaran that takes you out to a sand cay for the day of snorkeling and stand-up paddleboarding. I can send you pictures of that too. But look, I mean, overall, the fish are abundant and fat, and the gardens are rich. When I was there, it was mango season, and the mango trees were just burdened with so much ripe fruit. But most of all, the Fijian people are still absolutely full of the Bula spirit. They are so excited to have visitors back in their country. The warm reception that I got everywhere that I went, and overwhelmingly people are just so excited to be back at work and welcoming visitors home to Fiji again. Remember, 40% of our GDP is based on tourism and hospitality, so it's really important to people. And the whole hospitality and Bula spirit is just part of a Fijian's inner personality. And a taxi driver said, Ruth, we wake up every morning and we're anxious to be generous and kind to people. And it's like, wow, that's not like where I come from, but no. So just know that Fijians are, as always, full of the Bula spirit and so ready to welcome you home to the islands again.
I'm looking forward to getting back, having been there a couple of times. I really loved it both times, and now been away from it a little too long now for 2 years.
James, there was actually a nightclub owner in Suva who asked about you.
We won't get into that. Strobel was there, so I can't. I won't say what happened that night. But
I didn't see anything.
I think there was a rugby match, if I remember.
There was some dancing on the tables.
Right.
But, Fiji had just run a rugby cup.
Exactly.
What can I say?
Exactly. It's all about the rugby.
It's all about the rugby. So, but it was that was an interesting evening, that's for sure. Who knew Suva was this wild and crazy place? But let's talk, Strobel. Let's talk about marketing. Is Fiji Airways planning to promote the airline to visitors and here in the U.S. especially anytime soon to get everyone back?
Yes, so James, as part of the sort of a relaunch, we launched the Fiji Open program along with Tourism Fiji and a lot of our wholesale partners. And basically, the program was aimed to just show the exceptional value that there is in Fiji. So we got a lot of strong buy-in from hotel partners on the ground as well. So there's exceptional value packages out there at the moment. We'll continue that program through Q1. The program also aligns with Tourism Fiji's sort of pillars, which is focused on the areas that we're trying to show the diversity of Fiji as well. So that is ongoing. We have a number of wholesale partners in the market offering a lot of those exceptional packages. So for anybody out there looking to take advantage of that, please get in touch with the wholesale partners that you work with for Fiji or for the South Pacific, and they will be able to assist you with those.
Absolutely. And Ruth, sort of the same question. Strobel mentioned the pillars, and in terms of Fiji, Tourism Fiji, what are you doing in terms of marketing to make sure everybody knows you're up and ready to get visitors?
Yeah, great. We actually have been in market since August. So before opening, we were running some inspiration campaigns. And as soon as borders opened, we got the announcement, we sort of pivoted to a campaign that became a little bit more tactical, something like Struble was talking about, where ultimately we were driving people to pages with wholesaler air land packages on it. We're basically looking at 4 different audiences in our Open for Happiness campaign. Our traditional audience, which of course would be romance, honeymoon. I mean, Fiji is a great place to get away. The second would be relaxers, people like me who go to Fiji basically to lie in a hammock, maybe drink a cold cocktail and have a massage every day, maybe a little snorkeling in there as well. Thirdly would be our adventure travelers. And so these are people maybe the opposite of me who want to go and scuba dive and hike and skydive and go river rafting and get their adrenaline on every day. And we want to remind people that Fiji, especially the 2 big islands, Viti Levu and Vanuatu, do have a lot of land experiences. It's not just about little islands and lying on the beach. And then the fourth market is actually families. And when I was up in Savu, 90% of the Americans who were up there were actually families. And I went out snorkeling one day with a family from San Francisco with an 8 and 10-year-old daughter. So it's not just older kids too. But Fiji's been hosting families from Australia and New Zealand for decades. And the product there, the whole concept of kids getting bula buddies and nannies that look after them and teach them all about Fijian culture and sustainability, it's really, really special. And so again, we're looking for people to learn more about the family opportunities in Fiji. And I think it's a great opportunity, especially it's a quick overnight flight. So it's easy for kids to get on board. They all carry these little tablets and stuff now, and they're very, occupied amongst themselves. So yeah, those are our 4 markets. So we'll continue with that. And again, trying to drive business through our key wholesale partners. So we're out there and it's doing well. We're getting really good responses.
That's great news to hear. And I know it is a very easy flight, just it's a quick flight from LA or San Francisco. It's an overnight and you're there. Obviously we've had the recent, Omicron variant, which of course is sort of spreading throughout. This may be a quick one. We hope it is. Has anything changed in terms of this new variant in terms of travel to Fiji?
I think, James, we've probably seen, similar to many other people, sort of temporary uncertainty for the consumer and even for our travel agent partners. Obviously, there's been a lot of disruption in terms of domestic travel, which impacts long haul travel, which occupies, advisors' time to rebook people, etc. I think going back to Ruth's point earlier is that Fiji has done a phenomenal job in ensuring that its own population is vaccinated and also getting boosted. So I think, while, there are cases of Omicron everywhere in the world now, it is, hopefully, like you said, a temporary sort of bump in the road for us. We're certainly still seeing people booking Fiji and booking it further out as well. Maybe short term, there might be a little bit of hesitation, but as an airline, we continue to be as flexible as we can to ensure that if people for any reason cannot travel or don't want to travel, that they could postpone their travel for future dates. But again, I think Fiji has done a phenomenal job, along with Tourism Fiji and along with the protocols that we have put in place, that people can feel very safe traveling. It shouldn't deter them. As you said, let's hope things go back to a bit more normal very soon here.
Well, certainly it seems to be a less deadly form of the virus, but we shall see. Ruth, I guess the same question. And have you seen in the recent wave of Omicron affect business at all?
To Strubble's point, I think just overall people are, not thinking about booking travel just at the moment. But I do want to mention that, not necessarily in response to Omicron, but we're really excited that next Monday we have a brand new testing laboratory facility that's being opened up in Nandi that's going to be able to process tests at about a rate 5 times greater than previously. So
we need one of those over here. Can you make sure they come over here?
So we're excited about that. It's going to eliminate some of the just the pressure on the system to get the testings done and back to travelers. The protocols are reviewed constantly. We have our own Dr. Fauci in Fiji. His name is Dr. Fong. And again, if you go to www.fiji.travel, there's the latest information if there are any changes. It's a great resource to use. But yeah, we're really positive between the CFC, the high vaccination rates amongst Fijians, and all of the other protocols we've been able to put in place. We're really confident that when things thaw, that we're going to be ready.
No, that's great news. And let's stick with you, Ruth. What programs does Fiji have now as we emerge from the pandemic to support travel advisors here in the U.S. to help them get the word out and market?
Yeah, well, I'm really excited, James, because in Q1 of this year, we're going to be launching a new Matai travel advisor specialist program. So if you're already a Matai Vinaka Vakalevu and you're new people interested in the program, there's going to be a new course that everyone will take in March, and that's going to have all sorts of new, very cool bells and whistles. Immediately, if anybody needs any imagery, we do have an image library that is available, images.fiji.travel, that they can access. And then we're looking and planning right now to put together a series of famils so that we can get travel advisors to Fiji in 2022, because we think that's the best way to get people to sell Fiji, is to get them there. Because once you're there, it's in your heart forever. So we'll be doing some Matai famils, consortia famils, as well as famils with our top South Pacific wholesalers. So encouraging advisors who are interested to get involved in that way.
Now, Strobel, same question. What kind of marketing programs or what programs does Fiji Airways have for travel advisors here to help them sell more of Fiji Airways?
So, Ruth and I work very closely together. So a lot of the programs we, jointly work on. I would reiterate again the current Fiji Open campaign that is out there, that is running through, Q1 at least. So there's exceptional value in the market right now for advisors to reach out to their wholesalers to take advantage of that. But again, just reiterating what Ruth said as well, we're working with a number of partners from wholesalers to consortia to put together a lot of familiarization starting already in February this year. We have a number of them operating. So, reach out to the guys that you work with in terms of, the South Pacific and, inquire about those familiarizations, or reach out to Ruth and myself as well. And, we can guide you to where you can go. And we'd love to get more people down there because, as Ruth said, for those who are already familiar with Fiji, we'd love to refamiliarize you with it. And for those who have not been, now is as good as a time as ever to go down to Fiji and go explore it and be able to sell it to your clients.
Absolutely. Well, I also think that you'll benefit from, after 2 years of pandemic, everybody seems to want those bucket list destinations, and Fiji is obviously on that list. So a lot of people who might have been hesitating in the past about going to Fiji will suddenly say, hey, I got to go. Because it's time to go, and that's I would encourage every travel advisor out there who have clients that are thinking about it. This is really the time to go. Ruth, anything else you want to get out to our 95,000 travel advisors? And I say that it keeps going up because people are getting back in the market. They were hibernating for a couple of years there, but they're returning and starting to sell travel again. When obviously it's been tough. But they are getting back in the market. But anything else you want to say to our travel advisors?
Just for those of you who already know and sell Fiji, Vinaka Vaka Levu, we appreciate your support. For those of you who don't know Fiji yet, just three things we always like people to remember is number one, it's easy to get to. Number two, there's something for everybody of all different interests and all different price points. But number three, that it is by far the most transformational place you'll ever visit, with the people who will just bring joy to your heart. So Vinaka, and please come see us. We would love to welcome you home.
Wonderful. Now, Strobel, same question. Is anything else you want to get out to our 95,000 travel advisors?
I want to say thank you very much to everybody that has supported us and continue to support us. I know it's been a very challenging time for our travel advisors, as it has been for everybody in our industry, but we really appreciate their support, their patience, their understanding throughout this time. We thank them for being so resilient and so strong, and for taking good care of their customers and our mutual customers. And we look forward to having them on board. We look forward to having their clients on board. We look forward to taking them down to Fiji to experience the absolute magic that our destination has to offer.
That's wonderful. Now, I want to thank both of you for taking the time today to talk about Fiji, one of my favorite destinations. When I first got down there, I realized this is an incredible place, and a place I want to keep going back to. I mean, we keep thinking of places we haven't been, but Fiji is one place, once you go there, you do have to get back to. And we were actually going to do this interview even before the holidays, but Ruth had to go to work. She had to go to Fiji for 28 days. I'm sorry, we just couldn't get it together. You could have done, it's a Zoom call. You could have done it from Fiji, right?
Well.
that would have been really putting it in our face, right? That would be too much, right? But I'm so happy you had the chance to get down there. And I also hope at some point in the next few months, maybe certainly if we have the Fiji Tourism Expo this year, would love to get that back there and explore more of Fiji that I didn't get to before. Again, thank you so much for taking the time.
Vinaka, James.
Thank you very much, Vinaka.
Okay. And I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.